And what you see here on your screen is our new program, which we're coining the Hoast2Coast network. Now, before we dive in here, it's important that I let everyone know there's a lot of information to cover. We have a lot of ground to cover. So we're most likely going to be splitting this webinar into two segments. Next training will cover a lot more detail on how to fill out all of the necessary forms. And we're going to go through the forms a little bit. We're going to cover it in a general overview, but we're going to dive real deep into the forms at some point next week. Now, also, this webinar is being recorded, and we're going to have it put up on the .net site, which will most likely happen later today or tomorrow. So if you're not able to soak all this in or take all the necessary notes, or for those of you that aren't available to be here with us today, they are going to be able to go out and watch the video at any time on the website. And one more very important disclaimer here I want to make before we jump in. If you want to sell digital signage, we're requiring everyone to be certified to do so. And that's actually what we're here doing today. It's somewhat of a training / certification. And the way to become certified is simply by watching these videos and proving to us that you watched all the necessary videos. So us here at corporate can make sure that you go out with all the necessary information that you're going to need to pass along to the client. And that way, you know, the client, if they have any questions, you're going to be able to address them from an educated standpoint. And we're here to kind of provide you with all the answers that you're going to need to go out and turn this into a really great opportunity here for everyone. Now, let's go ahead and get started. You know, I want to kind of start off with the question here, and some of you might be wondering, what is digital signage? You know, I had a woman the other day. I was trying to explain to her what I was doing on the airplane, and she said, "Well, is that like the neon signs and windows that scroll to say that you're open?" And I guess that you could say that that's one form of digital signage, but the particular industry that we operate in here is commonly referred to as DOOH, which digital stands for digital out of home. And digital out of home refers to digital media used for marketing purposes outside of the home. You know, this excludes TV advertising and radio advertising, but does include digital signage. And it's sometimes hyphenated as, or abbreviated as DOOH. And the term digital out of home is usually used in relation to advertising-based networks. Digital out of home advertising networks can be found in many places, including your local diner, a doctor's office, gas pump tops, restaurants, sports bars, hotels, stadiums, arenas, you know, most public transportation. You know, you go out and you pretty much see it everywhere. And, you know, the market here in the United States is catching up with a lot of activity that's already going on over in Asia, and it's a very explosive industry that we're all very excited to be a part of. Now, before I jump into the next slide here, I just want to kind of quickly explain what this DTA up here means. And as you can see here on your screen, it stands for digital TV ad. And that actually defines the hardware component that we use for our digital signage application. It's called the DTA 154 box. And it's basically a piece of hardware that we hook up to existing TV networks in busy, heavy foot traffic venues like some of the ones I just mentioned. And what it does is it has a TV tuner inside which resizes the picture as you see here on the left-hand side of the screen, makes room for a video feed advertising banner that can be strategically placed at the bottom, at the top, at the left, or at the right-hand side of the screen, and it combines with a live broadcast signal without interfering with any of the live broadcast. So it's been FCC approved, so we're all compliant and legal. And one of these units can control multiple TVs, and we're going to kind of get into how that works a little bit later. But what this allows us to do is it allows us to turn businesses with heavy foot traffic into a source for advertising. I'm going to kind of jump into that here in a minute. But a little bit about what makes us unique here at Bizzing3 and us unique here at Hoast2Coast is this hardware component that has a software component that controls all the ad content through the internet. So when we want to change ads, we do it remotely without having to go on site at the location. So compared to some of the other digital signage companies that have to hang, big expensive TV screens and it requires a long process of installation, we simply piggyback our hardware on the existing TV networks that make the solution very turnkey for us here at Vism3 and Hoast2Coast. So with that being said, let's just kind of jump right in here. I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit general overview of the potential of the marketplace that we're operating in. And some of these statistics, they speak very highly about the direction that the industry is going. We've pulled some of these statistics together to let everyone kind of know where we're at and get everybody excited about what we're doing. And, the first one up there is a lot of people pay attention to Google these days. I don't know if everybody heard, but Google is going to be buying out Groupon for potentially $5.3 billion. So when Google talks, people listen. And Google has predicted that the display advertising industry is going to be a $50 billion industry in just the next 5 years. Digital out-of-home, to some, is a new concept, but if you just kind of think about all the different types of venues that you've noticed these digital screens, you'll realize that they're pretty much everywhere, and that's where this Arbitron statistic comes in regards to digital out-of-home screens reaching 67% of U.S. residents. And you might wonder, well, is there a demand for advertising in these locations that we turn into our Hoast2Coast hosts? And this next statistic, it illustrates that the demand is absolutely there. 86% of media buyers are expected to place digital out-of-home media buys as early as the end of next year. And then considering the fact that there's only about 2.5 million digital screens in the American market right now, which is projected to go all the way to 10 million screens as early as the end of next year. So exponential growth in the making, and we are right in the middle of that with Hoast2Coast, and we have an opportunity to be part of such an explosive industry. Now, taking into consideration that we have one of the components that makes us very unique is we're one of the few companies out there that have had the vision early on to combine mobile marketing, which is our business here at Vism3, with digital signage. The way that I look at digital signage is it's like the Ferrari of the mediums to get a mobile marketing keyword and short code out to the general public. Without digital signage, the mobile marketing industry would still flourish. However, putting a short code and a keyword up on a screen as opposed to putting it into print is a great way to attract a lot of attention and to captivate people in environments outside of their home when they're shopping or they're eating or they're traveling or they're just waiting for general service. It's commonly referred to in the industry as a long dwell time. These are the statistics that I was referring to, and I want everybody to just kind of take mental note of the power of these numbers. And as you can see, it's all sourced. We didn't pull these out of the air. These are all statistics that have been verified and that really illustrate the amount of opportunity that's available for us out in the marketplace. And like I said, don't worry about necessarily jotting all these down right now. You will be able to come back and view this video on the .net site. So with that being said, Tim, why don't you go ahead and go to slide 3 for me if you can? Are you there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now here's a quick illustration of what it would look like. I mean, it's pretty simple. We do have videos on our website. The idea is you got your football game over here, which could be anything from news or sports or entertainment. The beauty about this is that now the business, the host business, has the ability to channel change and channel surf up here at the top of the screen, and it doesn't affect what's going on the banner below. So you can fast forward, rewind, pause, channel change, put it on DVD. No matter what they do up there, our banner down here at the bottom is unaffected. So that means that all the people that are going home and TiVoing their shows and fast forwarding through all the commercials, well, advertisers obviously don't like that much. If they're getting their commercial fast forwarded through, what's the ROI on those type of advertisements? What's the success rate? With ours, it's pretty much a guarantee that we're going to get a high amount of visibility, and that's really a big part of what makes us unique. And everything else, I don't really need to go too deep into the mobile. Everybody on this call, for the most part on this webinar, is somewhat of a mobile expert. But this illustration here just kind of shows a quick order of operations of how something like this might work. You might be in a hotel and you see this Wendy's ad and you text Wendy's to 30101 or 67777. And you take that coupon right down the street and redeem your value at Wendy's. So it's a pretty simple process. Mobile marketing, just like digital signage, is an explosive industry. Like I said at the beginning, we put the two together. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Tim. I know we're pushed for a little bit of time here because of the technical difficulty. So I'm going to just kind of try to run through some of this stuff as quickly as I can. Okay. So can somebody turn the screen so I can kind of see it? Perfect. Okay. So I've already kind of mentioned the name of the product, the name of the program. As you guys can see down here, we are calling it Hoast2Coast Network. And as you can see here, what we do is we combine digital signage with mobile, and we provide businesses, preferably businesses that have heavy foot traffic. And we're going to go over the qualifications of how to qualify these hosts in a minute. But we give them an opportunity to turn their existing TVs into valuable revenue-generating real estate. The TVs are already there. When you take into consideration hospitality, struggling right now because of the economy, we're now giving them a turnkey solution to self-promote their own business, as well as earn additional revenue off the TVs they already have. And once the accounts are set up, the benefit then floats over to local, regional, and national businesses or corporations or small mom and pops. It could be anybody, brick and mortar or not. And it gives them the opportunity to advertise whatever it is they're selling, widgets, services, or anything from A to Z, to a high volume of captive consumers that are already watching the TV. And that's really the power behind digital signage, is it puts the message out there, like I said before. So go ahead, Tim, let's go ahead and switch to the next slide. This is one of our accounts that we have that we're really excited about up in Long Beach, Legends Sports Bar. Legends has about 40 TVs, and throughout their location, they're one of the oldest. Well, actually, they started the whole sports bar category back in the 60s. This location burnt down and got rebuilt back up, but they're known for they have the largest projector TV screen in the entire country. I think it's 18 feet high or something like that. Bigger, 20 feet high. It's too big for any one person to watch, that's for sure. But they are active in our program already. I think we're on about 14 screens inside of Legends, and what you see over here is some of the advertisers that we've already sold into there: Don Julio, Captain Morgan. And think about it, we're selling these beer and liquor distributors to announce their products at point of sale. I mean, how many times have you been standing at the bar trying to figure out what you're going to drink? So some people, they got the drink that they always stick to. There's others that are always kind of looking to mix it up, and to be able to captivate consumers at point of sale with products that are offered right there is a very powerful sale. And we've been fortunate enough to make arrangements with Southern Wine and Spirits to represent their beer and liquor inside of Legends. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Tim. Okay, so this is actually inside of Legends, and as you can see here, I'm going to kind of go over a minute what our full screen option there above looks like. But this is behind their main bar. They've used one of their TVs for a full screen, and they've used the TV below on the left for our banner. And you can see that over on the right-hand screen you have you got the graphics of the baseball game. It looks pretty similar down there on the left. As you can see, it's not an intrusive type of application. If there's any guests that that are in these establishments that for whatever reason they like the purity of watching the full screen, we haven't had a whole lot of complaints yet, but they could very easily go to one of the other screens and watch it unimposed. But this is just a really good graphical illustration of what this actually looks like live on a location. So go ahead, Tim. Go ahead and go to the next slide for me. Now, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of vertical or venue categories to choose from. There's currently 70 vertical categories that house or play host to digital signage companies throughout the country. These are just a few to kind of just give you an idea of how dynamic of an industry it is. But I've bolded the ones that are as salespeople, you probably want to put a little bit more focus on because the barriers to entry will be a lot less intense. We've been doing a lot of our initial marketing focus on restaurants and sports bars and hotels. We have a deal to go into some casinos here in the near future. We're already in a bowling alley down in San Diego called East Lake Tavern and Bowl, and we have proposals out to Petco Park where the Padres play, and we're trying to work our way into Qualcomm where the Chargers are, and we're also trying to get into Staples Center. And just to kind of give you an idea of the possibility, in a venue like a stadium, you have 250 to 400 TVs throughout the stadium. They're playing live feed from the game. What's it worth to an advertiser to run their goods or their services along the bottom of all those TVs to 40,000 people on a per game basis? I mean, the benefit that's really just it goes on and on. Go ahead and let's go to the next slide, Tim. Perfect. Well, thanks. Okay, so qualifying a host, what to look for. Here's where it really starts to get into the more, we've done the general overview at this point. This is where it gets into a little bit more of the specifics as far as what you look for to, what makes a good host. You have to ask yourself, what makes a good host? And what we try to aim at is a minimum of 200 or more visitors per day. We're only currently targeting and marketing businesses that have TVs already in place. In the future, once we've caught traction and once we start to grow, it's going to be pretty easy for us to build into our system access to display monitors to install into some of the busy locations that don't already have TVs in place. But for the purpose of keeping it simple and keeping it easy for now, we're looking for businesses that have existing TV networks there. Preferably, those TVs will be located in high visibility locations, ensuring that not only the host business special promotions are being seen, but that the advertisers that are advertising there also are on screens that have high visibility and not just the little 27-inch TV that they stuff over in the corner by the bathroom. The location would need to have DSL or cable internet access on site. This is a little bit more. It's kind of common. It's more of a common sense approach in regards to how to gauge the host's attitude or enthusiasm for the project. We like to set follow-up appointments with general managers or owners or whoever is the decision maker when we're pitching to our host accounts that we gauge their initial kind of attitude or their thought to the overall program. And if they appear to be excited about it, enthusiastic about it, those are the types of leads that you want to follow up on, as opposed to the guy you could tell he's old-fashioned, he doesn't want to, mess around with the TVs he already has in place. We just pass those up as no's, and shake their hand, wish them a nice day, and move on to the accounts that are going to make more sense. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't want to sign up hosts that aren't excited about the program. If they're not excited about the program, they're going to be hard to deal with as you move forward. And once you start setting up a lot of accounts, you want to make sure that your point of contact in these places are cooperating and they're using the service to the best of its ability. And one question you always want to be asking yourself is, will there be a demand to advertise in this location? You're not going to find a lot of people that want to advertise to 25 people a day at the car wash. But on the flip side of that, it's pretty easy to find advertisers that see the vision or the benefit, I should say, of advertising to 700 plus guests in a restaurant like, or a sports bar like Legends? So that's the key. If the answer to that bottom question is not so much, well, you probably want to move on to the host that you're actually going to build a revenue stream off of, and leave the ones behind that just don't make a whole lot of sense. And you're going to start to figure out pretty quickly what type of accounts make sense and which ones don't. And we're here at Corporate to guide you through that process. Go ahead. Okay, key question. Perfect. So you already put your footprint, Tim. Thank you. Okay, so the question that we kind of lead with, I know everyone has their own style of how they go about making sales, and I completely believe that different styles work for different people, different strokes for different folks, if you will. But I want to kind of give people something to go off of, and here's one question that has worked well for us so far, and that's just a very simple approach. Hey, you're sitting down in the restaurant, you call the GM over, hey, are you open to earning a residual income of your existing TV screens? Really, that's just the dangling of a carrot. You really just want to get them curious. If you can get them curious, you're on the right track. And at that point, you can really start keying into all the other benefits that go along with it. But that's one that's worked well for us here at the office, and that should work for you. But whatever style that works best for you, go ahead and work around that. Work around what you're good at. One of our goals in creating this program and doing ongoing training actually is to hopefully, as we grow, to find out from our affiliates both what is working and what is not working out in the field. Stories of failure are just as valuable as those of success, as it gives everybody else a pretty good assessment of what our clients are both interested in as well as what they're not interested in. And we always appreciate that feedback, and we'll most likely get a blog going and post everybody's success stories and keep everybody informed as we make progress. So if you can keep us in the loop, we'd really appreciate it. Go ahead, Steve. Tim, you're already on the next slide. Value proposition, thank you. Okay, so value proposition to hosts. What's their incentive for doing this? Well, we just covered the top one. It turns existing TVs into valuable revenue generating real estate. This gives the businesses that maybe they were used to putting their promotions up on a whiteboard. That was Legends. They put it, for a whole restaurant, they were putting their promos up on a whiteboard that you could only see from maybe 15% of the location, which isn't that effective. Now they have the ability to self-promote on their TVs. So as the people are there watching the sporting events, now they know, hey, next week is, next week Monday Night Football Legends is throwing an event. We want to be here for that. Maybe they're doing a mobile marketing opt-in special. The entertaining content, we're actually going to cover that's part of our full screen application here on the next slide. And then back to really the main purpose, the paying out the revenue share to a restaurant or a sports bar or hotel is a very attractive feature, but equally as attractive is building that SMS opt-in database. What's the value of an opt-in database to a restaurant like Legends once they have 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 people in their database? They now have the ability to market to those people on their cell phones and send out the promotions. And that's where the whole program really kicks into high gear. And we're really touching on a lot of different levels value that a business can use, both from the digital signage and the mobile marketing aspect of the program. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the full screen digital signage option. Now, as you see here in the top bullet points, it's ideal for locations that are interested in showing other content outside of the status quo that's usually on those TVs. And what we have here, what we're going to have access to through our website here within the next maybe week or so, are 90 hours of royalty-free video clips in various categories that suit to each individual host, whatever it is that they think the demographic would be most interested in. They can pick 30-second to 2-minute clips within those categories. And you can see the categories listed here, but between fashion, travel, sports, extreme sports, I think they even have some bloopers in there. Celebrity, health and lifestyle, nature, beach and bikini maybe would be good for something like a Hooters location. Tech and gadgets, weird and wacky. Very dynamic selection of video clips. And the idea with that is, in between all the video clips, we're running full screen ads, which is a high value to the host because now they're going to use their full screen. You can see it from a little bit farther away. So they're self-promoting on the full screen as well as on the banners. And it also gives us a whole new avenue for selling outside advertisers. So when you take into consideration a host that have the full screen option as well as the banner option, now you can offer either or to an advertiser. And it's not just playing ads; it's actually keeping the guests entertained with something that's maybe a little bit different from your general sports type of programming. For a place like Legends, it's perfect. They have so many TVs, even on Sundays when with the NFL Sunday Ticket, they have enough TVs for all the games and some. So we're on 4 or 5 full screens over there, and we have 8 or 9 banners over there. So what that does is it gives you as salespeople the ability to generate additional residual revenue, and it gives the host the ability to generate that additional revenue as well. So it's a really good option. We'll go over the logistics of how that works later and cover it more as we get deeper into these trainings. Go ahead. Okay, so these are the product packages. This little diagram here is on the back of our marketing brochures. This goes through the package options. This doesn't cover the pricing. We actually have all of the contracts and forms that we're going to email out to everybody, and we're going to let everybody download them off of our .net site that goes over all the packages and pricing in more detail than what you see. But this is just a quick screen snapshot. And what those percentages are at the top of the screen is the percentage of residual revenue that a host gets depending on which package they sign up for. Now, the silver package, I believe that's $495 up front, and it comes with 2 of our DTA boxes. The gold package is $995 up front. That comes with the 10% residual revenue. And then the platinum is $1995 up front, which is just basically a licensing fee or a program fee, and the contract is for a year. And that platinum program, it gives them 15% of the residual revenue on the back. So you can see that the people that want the higher return, pay a little bit more, and they get a few more bells and whistles in regards to the mobile packages that we offer. And we like to try to keep this real simple. When you're going out and you're talking to these host locations, the strategy that I use is really just to keep it real basic in the beginning. And once you see that they're interested, you can start diving into the detail because, as people say, the devil is in the details. And everybody, before they sign a commitment, they want to make sure they understand, all the features, all the bells and whistles, and exactly what they're getting themselves into. And all those packages are going to be available. And then if anybody has any questions in regards to any type of information on those packages, we have a Hoast2Coast line here, and anybody can call into corporate at any time during business hours to read messages after hours, and we'll either answer the phone live and answer any questions about the packages or return your call within short order. So Tim, go ahead and go to the next one for me. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is what I was talking about in the beginning. Am I doing on time? How much time do I have? Okay, so these are the forms. This is the process that you're going to go through in marketing to these host locations. Basically, I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit of detail so everybody can kind of get an idea of the order of operations, if you will. We want to make sure that everybody is very well educated in regards to how to fill out these forms, because when forms aren't filled out correctly or they're missing information, it delays the process. It'll take you longer to earn your commission. It will take longer to set the host up, and we really want to make this a very easy and very no stress process for the host location. So we want to make sure that everybody is very highly trained on all of these forms and all of the ins and outs and intricacies. And we want to make sure that any of these sales reps are passing along the information correctly. And if there's any questions on any of the forms, like I said, from the potential host account, we're available to address those and walk you through it and kind of handhold in the beginning to make sure everybody understands exactly how this process works. Now, once you have a host contract completed by a host, what we're going to have everybody do is, and it's not, we don't have any pictures on this particular slideshow, but when you're marketing to a host, once you have the interest from the host, and they said, yeah, we're really interested in this, and we want to move forward, what you're going to do is you're going to Hopefully you have a smartphone with a camera, or you have a digital camera or access to a digital camera, and you can actually take pictures for us of the outside of the establishment as well as the inside of the establishment, and you're going to send those in because every single host has to undergo corporate approval before we can actually start the process. And this is a safety net for us here at the corporate office. We want to make sure that the hosts that are being marketed to are of the caliber of the type of business that we're looking for. And that's a little bit on the subjective side. So we need to make sure that we have kind of control over the hosts that are being set up, and that's kind of the process and the system that we put into place. And so long as you're using good judgment, you shouldn't have to worry about your contracts not being approved. But you know, if they aren't, you know, it will most likely be for good reason, and it'll be a great learning experience as to how to approach your next host and what to avoid in the future. And we'll be able to get back to you within 2 to 3 business days. Most likely, you know, it'll happen in less than 24 hours, but we want to give ourselves 2 to 3 business days for once we get really busy and we have enough time to make sure that we understand the contract completely. Also, the affiliate should let the host know that shortly after the contract is approved, they're going to receive a call from Hoast2Coast Corporate or Vism3 to discuss and review the installation process and obtain some additional information. Now, this call will be made once the fax and email delivery of the forms have been received and reviewed at corporate. We would hope that once you have a contract, you know, you send it in within 24 hours. There really be no reason to delay on that, so long as you have all the information. The faster we get the forms completed and the host signed up, the faster everybody makes their commission and is able to now go out and start talking about marketing to advertisers, to where you can really kick into high gear the amount of commission that you can make on each individual host. Now, keep in mind, the advertising training is a whole other training, and you know, we'll address that later. This one right now is focused completely on the host accounts. But just to kind of go back real quick in regards to the call that's going to be made by corporate, we want to make sure that the hosts understand completely that this call is going to be made. You know, we want to make sure that it's either a general manager or maybe an IT person. You know, some of these businesses, they don't know their IT infrastructure all that well, and they have an IT person that might be better suited for that call. So the best thing we can do is make sure that we have the best point of contact, and that point of contact knows that we're going to be calling, and they're ready for our call. Because the faster we can get through this pre-site checklist, the faster, like I said, we can get everybody kind of up and running. Now, okay, so with the call that's going to be made, we're going to be doing the completion of the spec sheet, the analytics of the demographic of clients that are going through these locations. We're going to be doing the schedule of the installation, and we're going to be doing the introduction to the process of creating the advertisements. Now, one really cool part about our process here, guys, is that and gals, we have the ability to create all of our own content. You know, we do have an option to where the advertising content, the hosting businesses can create their own. I'll address that in a minute, but let me just kind of quickly cover the installation process, so everybody understands. You know, there's certain steps that have to take place in order for us to, you know, start the initial marketing to a host location, and then all the way to project completion. During the call from corporate, the host is going to be asked if they can answer technical questions, like I said, or if they want their IT person to complete the pre-install checklist. Once the checklist is completed, installation has been scheduled to take place within the next 5 business days. And if an expedited installation is requested, you know, if the host really wants to rock and roll and get up and running quickly, it can be completed within 2 to 3 business days for additional charge of $150. Now, if it's an after-hours installation that's requested, there may be additional charges that are required. These would be in addition to an expedited setup. And we have all this information in contracts and forms that we're going to, like I said in the beginning of the call, post to the .NET site and distribute here from corporate. Now, back to the ad creation process. You know, the advertiser or the host is going to have to provide specific information for the creation of the ad. Most likely this will just be, high-res JPEGs from their website and logos. And once we receive the necessary information for the design of the ad, it's going to take approximately 5 business days to return a proof. Now the proof is provided via YouTube, so everybody can access it. And the advertiser will receive a message directing them to or the advertiser or the host, I should say, directing them to review the proof and approve the ad. And all the host needs to do at that point is email Hoast2Coast their approval with the YouTube URL pasted in the email, which basically says we're okay with this ad, we like it. We will be flexible to do minor changes, but hopefully we won't have to do too many. We're going to have to implement charges for additional changes. And that's why we can't stress enough the importance of making sure that we have everything that we need to ensure that the host is getting the advertisement exactly how they want it, and it's directly in line with their branding, and the ad's going to be effective and generate a response, which is the point of this whole program. Now, if the advertiser wants to submit their own completed banner ad, we could give them the specs. They can give it to their own designer. It needs to be in the formats of a movie file, a .mov, or a flash file, or a JPEG, which would be purely static ad. And the rate for ad creation, in this case, is $150, as long as there's no work required from Hoast2Coast other than the actual rendering of the video feed. And once the ad's been finalized, it'll take approximately 2 to 3 business days for the ad rendering to make the banner active. Okay, so go ahead and go to the next slide, Tim. I think we're running pretty short on time here. Sorry, guys, for kind of rushing through this, but I wanted to make sure that we kind of generally covered start to finish. There's going to be a lot of questions. Some of those questions we can address. I think Tim, you said we might be able to get to some of those right now. We'll be able to address any via email if people want to call and follow-up questions. This is kind of the tip of the iceberg, and you're going to start to find out that you're going to approach some of these accounts that they might have special requests, or they might have certain conditions that say we'll allow you to come in here and do this so long as A, B, C is accomplished. And we're pretty flexible here at the corporate office. We don't like to turn away business, but at the same time, we don't want to get in the habit of doing special requests on a day-to-day basis. We want the program to be what it is, be a very cookie-cutter approach, and then that way everything is kind of conforming and very easy for us to manage here at the corporate office. If all the deals are special deals, it's going to be pretty hard for us to kind of keep track of everything. Now, at this point of the webinar, I want to make sure that everyone watching understands that in order to go out and start selling host locations, you have to be an affiliate pro and become H2C certified by watching this video as well as the video that we're going to cover next time in regards to all the forms and all the form training, which, like I said, will be scheduled for sometime next week. Now, for all of you that are on this webinar that aren't currently affiliate pros, we would love to have you, be part of this opportunity, but at the same time, we need to make sure that, that everybody that's going out to market to hosts is an affiliate pro, and if you're not an affiliate pro, you need to update to an affiliate pro. And you're going to see, once you really see how these numbers break down and the commissions that are built into securing these hosts and securing these advertisers, that the amount of potential residual revenue that's available to you just off one host location is very substantial. And when you start to replicate that and set up multiple hosts in your area, and you start selling advertising into these hosts, I mean, just for landing a host, you make a percentage over all of the advertising that's sold into that location, whether or not you're actually selling that advertising. So you make a percentage on the initial sale to the host, and you also make a percentage on the advertising sales. And if you actually go out and sell the local or regional advertising, you're double dipping, and you're making an override on the initial override for selling the host, as well as the advertising for selling the advertising into the host location. And so like I said, this is a very exciting opportunity for all of us here at Hoast2Coast and Vision 3. we're really looking forward to getting this going and getting some feet on the streets and really turning up the volume, because the market out there, as you saw in the beginning of this presentation, is very much available and ripe for the taking for all those motivated, ambitious salespeople that are out there right now trying to earn some extra money. I mean, this is a divine opportunity, like I said, that we want everybody to be a part of. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'm Brian Kelly here with Hoast2Coast, and I hope you're all as excited to finally get this amazing opportunity rolled out as I am. And until next time, we here at BizM3 wish everyone a very happy holidays and a very wonderful day. And Tim, you're going to kind of step in here and let me know if we have any time for any questions or if we're kind of running out of time.
Great. Well, thanks, Brian. I appreciate sharing with everybody today, and I think everybody's been waiting just to get the details, so it's great. We do have this webinar scheduled for an ongoing training, because we know that there'll be changes, there'll be upcoming trainings. So in addition to the affiliate training that we do on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock and the sales trainings that we do on Mondays at 10 o'clock, we have slated the Hoast2Coast training to be weekly now on Thursdays at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. These are all Pacific Standard Time. So we will see you next Thursday at 11 o'clock as well. Like I say, these will be recorded. We'll do some editing. We'll get these up on the .net site as soon as possible, and then in the future we'll go into details. And but I have answered some questions. If anybody else has any questions at this time, go ahead and ask those right now. But continue to. We'd just like to know who's really interested in getting hosts. That's our key thing, because we want to work with those who are definitely interested and feel that is a niche that they're good at. And so if you do have the interest, please just send an email to the screen on here. Get your hat in the ring, and then we'll start sending out some specific emails to you with all of the forms and other important information. You can always contact Brian as well at the number provided right there. And if you want to do the demo with anybody, remember the demo is just texting H2C to 67777. And in that demo, if you haven't done it yet, there's a wonderful website that I believe Kelsey created that explains the program. It's meant for a host, the H2C to 67777. I mean, you could show it to a potential advertiser, but that's not really what it was designed for. It was really designed for hosts, and we'll continue to update and get things ready for our potential advertisers as we roll this out. Don't really see any questions at this time. I've pretty much answered, I think, everybody's online right now. So thanks everybody for joining us today. We'll look forward to having you on the next Hoast2Coast training webinar next Thursday. And again, there's the contact information. Feel free to contact and reach out to Brian. And please let us know if you're interested in signing up hosts. So thanks for your time, and on behalf of BizM3, this is Tim Hurria, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Take care.